It's mock draft season. I'm John Schmeelk, joined by Paul Dottino. And Paul, the mock drafts with the Senior Bowl in the books are starting to come down the pike a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the more popular guys that put out mock drafts and who are some of the prospects that they're linking to the Giants. Now, it's important to note, we haven't had free agency yet. We don't know what team needs are going to be. So linking players with specific teams right now is more an exercise to figure out who might be available when those teams pick. So we'll learn about the prospects as we take a look at some of these mocks. Let's start with the godfather of the NFL draft coverage, and that's Mel Kuiper over at ESPN. Paul, Ikem Ekwonu, the offensive tackle of NC State with the 5th overall pick, and then David Ojabo, the edge rusher out of Michigan with the 7th pick.
Well, when you're looking about Ekwonu, you're looking at a guy who is a dominant mauler in the run game. He's primarily a left tackle, although he has played some guard before. Some people even think that maybe he will play some guard in the National Football League.
He certainly has the physicality for it.
Without question. But he has had a little bit of a delay in terms of his pass protection. So that's something as he gets to the NFL, he's certainly going to have to work on. But the good news is he's got the motor, he's got the size, he's got the power, he's got the athleticism, has all the tools to be a dominant offensive lineman, John. Now, you mentioned the linebacker. Look, a lot of people differ on him because the question becomes, how much of an all-around linebacker do you want, or do you want a guy who simply has upside as a pass rusher? He is more of just a pass rusher.
Well, Paul, he came out of nowhere this year.
Correct.
He did not only, this is not only the first year he's put up big numbers, this is the first year he even played a significant number of snaps, and he broke out across from Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, and that's why the proponents of him will tell you he's got great upside.
Right.
Because he's had such little experience coming out of Michigan where only 1 year as a full-time starter. So you really have to do a great projection with him as opposed to someone you can feel very, very confident about.
And, of course, remember the Giants had the 5th and 7th overall picks in the draft. The 5th is theirs. The 7th is the pick they acquired from the Bears in their trade last year, moving down in the 1st round. All right, let's stick with ESPN. Go over to Jordan Reed, who's new to their draft coverage. We've had him on our shows here before. He has Charles Cross, the offensive tackle at Mississippi State, at 5th for the Giants, and then 7th overall, Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. And Cross is like the opposite end of the spectrum of Ekwonu, right? Really, really good athlete, really, really good in pass protection.
Very good in pass protection. Played in what's known as the air raid offense in college because they wing it. And he's got all the techniques down perfectly. But again, as John just mentioned a moment ago, he's kind of the antithesis of Ekwonu in that he's not the bully who's going to maul you in the run game. So that's going to be a preference now. What do you prefer? Because the other part of his game is going to have to be coached up a little bit. Hamilton, very interesting. Some people like him to Isaiah Simmons when he came out because he's the kind of defensive back who can play either the safety spots, can play the weak side linebacker spot. He's basically that guy who's got so much versatility, you can even put him in the slot a little bit.
And both guys 6'4", around 230 pounds.
Exactly. So I understand why he's getting so much pop because the man has so much ability and so much versatility. How can you not love him? The question is, if he doesn't have, quote, one position where he's really great at, do you really take him that high?
And if his best position is that single high free safety, well, the Giants already have Xavier McKinney, who's pretty darn good at that already.
Yeah.
But again, he will be a top 10 pick. Excellent player.
Yes. Coming
Coming out of Notre Dame. Finally, Daniel Jeremiah, DJ over at NFL Network. He has Ikem Ekwonu at number 5, very similar to Mel Kuiper. Again, we'll see if he drops that far. We don't know if he will. At number 7, though, Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah, who is a converted safety. He's a linebacker that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he's very, again, another versatile guy, John. He can cover. He can handle running backs out of the backfield, can do some work against tight ends. A lot of people think that because of his all-around game, he may be the most complete outside linebacker that's coming out of this draft.
And, of course, 3 guys we didn't mention, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, Evan Neal from Alabama, Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. The reason we even mentioned those guys, they're all off the board in these scenarios in these mock drafts. So I'm sure we'll talk about them further down the line as we continue to track mock drafts heading into the NFL draft in 2022 at the end of April in Las Vegas. For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you next time.